Peace in Islam. Welcome unto the M.I.T.N. Channel 1 News, and thank you for the viewing of the Where We Stand video segment 1. For the record, I am Honorable Noble Arielle-Maryam Ali, and I am your hostess for the Where We Stand video segment 1. Today we are in the presence of the sitting and reigning Amexem-Moor-Empire constitutional monarch, my Burfari, from the Wolof onto the English. Burfari translates as emperor. For those of you tuning into this video segment, Emperor Anu El Bey is who we as the entire population of the Amexem-Moor-Empire constitutional monarchy chose to have and maintain as our imperial sovereign. Your Imperial Majesty,
Islam.
thank you for taking the time from your busy schedule and our service for the participating in this interview format.
My privilege and my honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation, Islam.
With your consent, Your Imperial Majesty, may we begin?
By all means, proceed when you're ready, Honorable Noble Ariel. Islam.
Thank you, Your Imperial Majesty. My first question is, for the record, Your Imperial Majesty, where are we in the budget process?
Islam. All right, for the record, tomorrow night I do convoke the Majlis al-Shura. We will be engaging upon fiscal budget proposal 301-629:02 in your service. It is now 02 because we have made amendments unto the fiscal budget proposal that's been presented before the Imperial Council. So tomorrow night, we will be moving from deliberations phase into the first round of budget negotiations. And as things currently stand, it appears to be we may very well get to a vote in your service within the next 14 to 21 or 14 to 22 Earth days. And if that proves to be true, and it actually does have a vote that's in the affirmative, well, then I'll have made a fiscal budget law for you with the Imperial Council, which means our constitutional duty regarding fiscal responsibility for the next fiscal Earth year will be completed. And on 1 Kumal 301-629 at sunrise, our fiscal budget law for 629 shall in fact commence. The current budget law will have expired, and we can proceed into our fiscal responsibility in the new fiscal Earth year. That's the best one to answer your question as you asked it. Do you have another question you want to ask at this point, Honorable Noble Ariel?
Yes, I do.
Yes, sir.
For the record, Your Imperial Majesty,
Yes,
do you see a way forward regarding our ability to continue to maintain and improve our independent commerce and trade?
Islam. Indeed, I do. And here's the reason as to why. When someone establishes a business within the Amexem-Moor-Empire, there's mandatory training for the business owner to teach them how to operate a business within the Amexem-Moor-Empire. This particular training is designed to make sure that they are effective, efficient, and proficient, not only in the operation of the business, but knowing to have foresight and vision with their business model. So with our mandatory trainings that we do on the first and third love days of each month, it allows us to advance them forward. And now they can have better context in particular things, acquire perspective in particular things. They now know how to use the Imperial Court for dispute resolution. They know how to use the Amexem-Moor-Empire sovereign copyrights, trademarks, and patents. They're now able to put together their particular report system for their business expenditures and things of this nature. They are taught on how to itemize if they're going to be itemizing. So there's multiple tax forms involved. If their particular product or service has an excise tax or an imperial trade tax upon it, which almost nothing in our venue does, they are taught how to deal with particular things relevant unto that. If there's levies or duties, they're taught how to deal with all that. So this allows them to be able to capture, through wise business decisions, market share, and be able to expand and maintain said market share. So yes, that's how I see the possibilities are endless in terms of how business models can be improved for our commerce and trade purposes. Islam, you have another question you want to ask me?
Yes, I do.
Very
For the
well.
record, Your Imperial Majesty, the
Islam.
mitigation of the current environmental challenges from the entire population is what?
All right. One of the bigger things that happens on this planet is a misuse of natural resources. Um, there's a huge dependence by some across this planet with synthetics. And there's a lot of chemicals that get produced to do a wide variety of things. Um, on the front end, those things can increase a wide variety of things that could be impactful on us in terms of gases upon the planet. There's a lot of things that get tossed to the side as byproducts. Some of those things end up in landfills. Some of those things produce methane gas. And these things can also be impactful upon the health of folks on the planet. So some of the things that need to be looked into are what methods does the imperial government have to mitigate particular things? Well, there's two primary departments that have jurisdiction regarding this. Department for Health and Phytotherapy Therapy is one of them. And the Department for Health and Phytotherapy Therapy is the Imperial Disease Eradication and Emergency Response Agency. So if we see clusters of things that happened or outbreaks of things that happened based upon something that was caustic, something that was a liquid organic compound, something that was toxic, causing cancers and things of this nature, and causing problems in the water that would impact sea life or water in estuaries, lakes, and streams. Then we're able to identify how that could impact those who consume anything that was grown or lived in those streams, in those lakes, in those estuaries. So that's one thing we have to look out for. On the production side of things, that would be Department for the Interior. Now you're talking about the Imperial Disease Eradication and Emergency Response Agency dealing with the Emergency Services Agency, which is a sub-department therein, Department for the Interior. To a lesser extent, you may also have Department for the Agriculture involved. To a lesser extent, you may have Department for the Customs involved. And all of them will be working under the leadership of the Health Minister. And that's in the managerial capacity, and the Minister for the Interior in the supervisory capacity. They work out the details to make sure that we find ways to mitigate all threats to life from whatever's gotten into the atmosphere, whatever's gotten into the topsoil, whatever has gotten into the water sources. And so that's the best way I know how to answer your question in short form, because the way you ask that question, it's not overly broad. However, it would require me to give you a very thorough answer. And in an atmosphere like this, in a platform like this, I would need far more time to go into those particular topics. So let's proceed to another question if you have one. Islam.
Yes, I have another question. For the record, Your Imperial Majesty,
Islam. Mm-hmm.
what equipment, material, and supplies have we acquired in the most of in accordance with the current fiscal budget law?
Islam. Excellent question, actually. For the most part, we have over the last few fiscal budget laws, we have focused heavily on budget item acquisitions that are tied back to the Department for the Agriculture, specifically non-GMO seeds of dozens of types. And since we don't do fertilizer is contraband within the Amexem-Moor-Empire, we are big on composting. The acquiring of the ability to engage in composting wherever we have food with operations is essential. So we look at things along that particular line. Electrical power generation, we have also gone into very heavily empire-wide, both sides of the ocean, north and south of the equator. We pushed heavily for diesel generators, and we acquired them, and we've acquired solar power generators. Now, to that end, we also produce our own biodiesel fuel on our own equipment. We don't do the mixture of B5 or B20, which means it only has 5% of biofuel or 20% of biofuel. We only produce B100 biodiesel fuel, which means it's 100% grown from what's referred to as renewable sources. All three components that you use to make biodiesel fuel, you can grow on your own. And so it's a renewable energy source, and the production thereof is at a minimal regarding environmental footprint. And B100 biodiesel fuel has no noxious oxides. So basically, it's vegetable oil. So the exhaust basically smells like French fries or popcorn. So it allows us to decrease our environmental footprint using biodiesel fuel for trucking or for propulsion for anything for farming operations or for travel. In terms of electrical power generation, we are big on fuel cells, and now we're even bigger on axial flux motors. And these are methods that allow us to generate electricity in an environmentally friendly way. And in the spirit of how you asked the question, that's about as far as I'm prepared to go in the answer at this time. Do you have another question you'd like to ask me at this point?
Yes, I do. For the record, Your Imperial Majesty, what are the consequences of having a constitutional monarchy as opposed to unto the monarchy system of governance?
When I wrote what became the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitution, I took into account a wide variety of things. I don't agree with absolute power. Within this jurisdiction and venue, we don't agree with absolute power for anyone. Power must be diffused. So when I wrote what became the Amexem-Moor-Empire Constitution, we diffused power amongst, when I say we, the Imperial Council that ratified what became our Constitution. We took the path of diffusing power. So our Constitution lays out specifically what the constitutional monarch's duty, obligations, and responsibilities are, what the Imperial Council's role is, and what is the role of the Imperial Court system. So we broke it up into three different branches of the Imperial government operations: implementive or executive with the constitutional monarch, legislative with the Imperial Council, and judicial with the Imperial Court system. So that keeps things even keel. And to make sure that that always remains the case, the constitutional monarch does not have the authority to make a fiscal budget law. A proposal is required from the constitutional monarch under Article 6, Section 2, Clause 1 of our Constitution. However, the Imperial Council, by way of their vote, decides what the fiscal budget law shall be. What gets proposed is one thing. What gets legislated may very well be another. The Imperial Council is not a rubber stamp. They decide how they deal with inflation, and they decide all manner of things that go into what's in a fiscal budget law. So that's the best way for me to explain that aspect. Now, you've got what's known as absolute power monarchs. We don't have that here. And then you have constitutional monarchs that are basically figureheads. Basically, 99% of the constitutional monarchs on the planet are all figureheads. They don't have any power to govern. They're just ceremonial in nature. They're speculative, not operative. They don't actually do any work. I have to work as a constitutional monarch for the Amexem-Moor-Empire because my duties, obligations, and responsibilities are very clear on what I must do. And the consequences are this. The nationals within the Amexem-Moor-Empire have sector governments, regional governments, district and local governments down to precinct level that operate by way of what the Imperial Council puts in place for our laws, agendas, and policies. And they are set based upon what we find in the local reports, the district reports, the regional and sector reports that make their way to the Imperial Council by way of the National Ambassador. The National Ambassador is like a solicitor for all the nationals before the Imperial Council to get things onto the legislative agenda. And once we have been brought to light on a wide variety of things, we've been briefed on particular things, we now take a look at what is possible, what's necessary, and how to make things work. We don't have subcommittees and committees and have to fight their way to possibly one day have a vote in one chamber and then go to another chamber. And we don't do any of that stuff here. So that's the best way to know how to answer your question as you asked it. We move based on what we see in the reports, and we act accordingly to serve the nationals. Islam.
And for my final question, for the record, Your Imperial Majesty, as we come unto the end of the Earth year 301628, what did we get right and what did we get wrong regarding the current organic diplomacy and governance that your imperial government provides in our service?
Islam, excellent question, and I thank you for it. What a question to end on, too, by the way. All right. What did we get wrong? A lot. We're not perfect, we're not pious, we don't always get it right. When reports come in, we have to do homework. When we have after action reports of things that happen empire-wide with various operations from the 12 departments and 39 sub-departments, we take a look at things and say, all right, this was effective to a point. what did the nationals gain as a result of this particular method within our standard operating procedures? So we didn't have enough fencing, so the herbivores got in and they really ate a lot of our crops. All right, we must adjust course and find ways to mitigate the herbivores coming in and eating up all of our crops. That leaves fuel for us to have to consume for ourselves, and fuel for us to get seeds from, and fuel for us to go to market with. So let's be smart about this. We will have to, in the fiscal budget proposal and whatever we vote into fiscal budget law, take into account that we require more fencing to keep the herbivores out. Things like this, we didn't do well previously. We've learned those particular lessons and we are doing better now. Our diplomacy in particular things could be better. We'd like to be able to do that. However, we have been actually focusing more on the internals than engaging in things external unto us. This is because, to be honest, the Imperial government has limited funds to work with. So we have to prioritize. Do we stockpile things that we need to make sure that you've got access to resources and markets? Do we stockpile things that we need to make sure that we have mercy release supplies? Or do we focus on expending funds to engage in particular diplomacy, SAIFAs, which is in English, a non-martial diplomatic expedition? So we had to weigh things out. We could weigh things out a little better going forward. What did we get right? The stockpiling the things that we need to survive any cataclysm across this planet, to survive any financial downturns across this planet on our own terms, to make sure that we are gradually improving within our means, our systems for learning and healthcare. We're doing it gradually because we have to, because of staffing, not for any other purpose. That's honestly the best way I know how to answer that particular question. I can go into it all night, but I'm gonna hold that there. And I do want to thank you for your excellent question. And with that, I yield the floor. Islam.
Islam. Your Imperial Majesty, on the behalf of the Moors Internet Televideo Network audience and myself, thank you for all of your answers unto all of my questions.
Thank you for allowing me to be here, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to serve in this capacity. Islam.
Well, on the behalf of my department head, our sitting and commanding Amexem-Moor-Empire Minister for the Communications, His Excellency Grand Noble Dan E.L., on the behalf of His Imperial Majesty's Imperial Government Operations in our service, your time is precious. You could have been anywhere doing other things, but you chose to be here, participating with us through the viewing of this first M.I.T.N. News Where We Stand video broadcast segment. For more information about the Amexem-Moor-Empire Imperial Government operations down to the local level, or about the businesses in the good standing before the Amexem-Moor-Empire Imperial Business Registrar, click the website links in the description below and leave a comment. You are encouraged to share the link for this segment and the links in the segment description. I am your hostess, Honorable Noble Arielle-Maryam Ali, and it has been my pleasure to share this experience with all of you. Stay tuned for more M.I.T.N. news, Where We Stand video broadcast segments. Until the next time, on the behalf of His Imperial Majesty and all of my fellow Amexem-Moor-Empire nationals all across the planet, peace, great health, and prosperity be upon all of you and all of us. Islam.